Oh, we can hear you. You're fine. We can hear you. Oh dear. This is great, isn't it? All connecting
No, we
together.
still, we just chat like this for a few minutes as we have still quite a few people.
Hi.
Quite a few people they are coming.
Oh my goodness, I love your background. Lovely. Are you on the moon?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. How did you do that?
I don't know, I'm just a star.
You are? That's amazing. Oh, that's really therapeutic.
Oh, good, good.
I love it. It's really nice.
Well, it's better than my bookshelf.
I think we'll have to do a painting at the back of our wall here just to match yours. We've got somebody else coming through. Oh no, still
we still have a few people, including tonight's speaker.
Yes, we're waiting for tonight's speaker. Obviously, what is he? Was 707?
No, he's coming. He's coming.
He's coming. Yeah. Yes, that's Woon. We're waiting for Woon to come. Can't go ahead without him, can we?
No, we still got quite a few people as well that we're waiting for. So let's carry on. Getting to know everybody if we can. Some people, some of you are familiar faces. Some people we haven't seen as often.
Yes. Well, I'd like to introduce you to my sister first of all, and that's the one on the top, Maria. That's my sister.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Oh, and Wendy is Maria's friend, so they've joined us as well. So say hi to Wendy.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Wendy.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know, Kathleen Gallagher, she runs the Tunbridge Wells City Social. Been running that as long as we have. If you, yeah. And you do some introductions as well. I better shut up and do the talk.
Yes, I know it's. I don't know, possibly Jeff. Some of you might have seen speak at one of our events as well. Jeff is a Google man. I can say. So specialist in search engine optimization and Google Ads. So
been called many things, haven't I?
All nice things.
That's the one to use for tonight.
Maybe what we can start sharing. I'll start sharing a little thing about Jeff. Maybe we can all share something about ourselves that not everybody knows. Apart from being the Google man, Jeff is a powerful third dan karate master.
Wow.
Or black belt.
Wow. So don't get on the bad side of Beth.
Powerful. It's all relative, isn't it?
So he looks very calm and collected, but you don't want to see him angry.
You're not.
Iron fist and all that with silk glove.
Get to practice at home now.
Come on, Adriana, you tell us something about yourself that we don't know.
Oh, I'm on the moon.
Oh dear.
Why don't we start?
Just thinking. No, don't worry. We've just put you on the spot. Yes, just waiting for the others. So we're just trying to kill a bit of time, really. So will you tell us something about yourself? Go on, you should.
Me, my apart from the things that you all know, my passion is table tennis. So I used to play in local leagues, and I still do occasionally. You might find me somewhere, some sweaty hole, playing table tennis with old people.
Yeah.
And some younger ones.
And
what about you?
Me, I have I sing opera. Been doing that for 20 years. I just absolutely love it. I just need to develop it more and start going into competitions. I haven't had the time to do that, but I would love to do it. I just really enjoy that. So, yeah, what about you, Jude?
Oh, me.
Something nobody knows about you.
Right. So I do data protection and security, and I guess now business continuity, because I've been doing a lot more of that lately. And what do people, apart from that you don't know about me?
No, we didn't know that.
I used to play American football.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
There you go.
Which role?
Yeah.
Which role?
Oh, defensive end and outside linebacker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My God, that's amazing.
Yeah, some years ago now. So yeah, when I was when I was younger, not little.
So how many years did you play that?
I played probably so I started about 13 years, I think it was.
It's a long time.
So I started, yeah. I think I say most of it, not really. A few of the years I was injured, so I didn't get battered. So yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Who did you
Nice.
play for? Who did you play for? Did you have a?
Oh, I played for.
London team?
I played for a team called the London Ravens.
Okay.
And here's my other claim to fame. I almost got picked for the London Monarchs as well.
Wow.
When you had a team, a professional, a semi-professional team.
So you're a good standard, obviously.
Well, I'd like to think so. In my head, I was. But probably the reality.
You're convincing us, and it sounds as though you were, so that's really good. So what should we do? Should we get started?
Shall we get started?
Yeah, I think
Because
we should get started.
It's still about another 10 people that should, they're booked on the course, but I don't see any messages. Let me just quickly check to see if anybody's emailing. They're having trouble joining.
We had about 24 people who've booked in. So there's how many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, there's Julie that cannot find the Zoom link. Okay, so just give me a second.
Okay. So let's speak to somebody else. Who else wants? Sorry.
50% is actually a pretty good rate from registration to turning up.
Oh, really? Okay, we've got one other person joining us, which is Julie. So we're just over the 50%. That's really good, eh? Yay! So anybody else wants to share for a minute? Anything that any secret, top secret?
Yeah, something I don't think anyone here knows, 2 things about me. Continuing in the childhood passion and dedication and talent. I used to be a ballerina.
Ooh, very nice.
And 2 days ago, it was my 40th birthday.
You don't look 40.
Birthday.
Thank you. And in honor of my Italian hosts, I ordered a bottle of Cadabosco from, ironically, it came via the Netherlands. So I just thought,
drink all of that?
That's empty.
Over 3 days. This is my last glass. I'm finishing my last glass over 3 days. And since Italians are hosting, I just thought I would bring that to the party.
Thank you. Well, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
Hope you had a good one.
It was awesome.
Yeah. You have to start off positively, don't you? Because you've got another decade to go before you reach the other zero. And I'm a firm believer that you have to be positive on the zeros in order to get through.
Yeah, and people got to be nice to you and turn up to your stuff. So I hosted a Zoom. I hosted a Zoom thing. And,
lovely.
It was
met people online like that. Yes.
Yeah, 50 of my closest from around the world came, and that would not have been possible.
Lovely party
without the
online.
current
That's nice.
crisis. So always an
Nevis. Hi, Nevis.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Is Rosaline joining us? Do you know? Or?
Yes, I think she should be finished any moment with yoga.
Brilliant. Okay. Right. So we are waiting for 2 more people. Are you okay waiting for
there's Mary.
them? Or no?
Mary, can you help?
Mary. I've got another one, Mary.
We're all so busy, aren't we?
This
with
looks
all
like
these Zoom
manana, doesn't it?
calls?
Hi, Mary. Can you hear us? We can see you, but not hear you. Oh, okay. Hi.
Oh, it's a nice view.
Can you hear us? You can. No? I think we better get started.
Yeah, just a second.
We're going to get started in a minute. So,
send this to
Julie. Yeah. Right.
Just a second.
We're just sending a link to somebody, then we're going to start. Right, we're done.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Okay. Back in. Back in. Right. Sorry, we just should we get started?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get started. Okay. So sorry for the delay. We're just waiting for some more people. That's you know, to join us. So I'm Katerina, and
I'm Luca.
okay. So just want to give you the structure of this evening and how it's going to go. We're going to be talking about buy one, give one, and the giving impacts. And for those of you that don't know what that is, we will explain it in a minute. What we're going to be offering on these virtual meetings, we're going to talk about Google Sheets as well, and how you can input any offerings that you want to give us by Google Sheets. Then we're going to be introducing Woon, and he's disappeared. We can just see his name at the moment. He's going to be talking about podcasting, and then there's going to be Q&As after that, and then we're going to be finishing the evening. So over to you about buy one, give one.
Yes, obviously, as you all know, the people that have been to events before, not all of you have, but the ones that have been to London City Circle social events, know that they are kind of not-for-profit events. Everything we make goes to support causes with the buy one, give one. Now, as we're at home today, so we thought that we'd actually do a little presentation so we can show the causes that we've been able to support thanks to you coming to the events, supporting the events in London. Okay, so we'll share the screen. Okay. Okay.
Oh.
So
I've lost it.
can you all see us?
No, I've lost the main screen.
Just on the
so
bottom, there's a little blue thing. Just press on that. Yes.
I don't have a little blue.
Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so for all those you know, some of you may not know yet, buy one give one. This is kind of like the homepage. So buy one give one creates there's no talk about money or percentages or anything. What we do with buy one give one, you know, businesses that take part in this initiative, we pay a subscription fee, and that subscription fee pays all the admin costs of buy one give one, and everything, all the money that gets given then goes directly to the impacts. So you can give anything from like one cent to maybe support water for one person for one day, up to, you know, much bigger givings. But what is great is that absolutely nothing of the money that is given goes to admin. It goes directly to the people on the ground. They are administering these impacts. To date, buy one give one managed to give more than 200 million impacts all across the world. If I can show a little difference that we've made to the London City Circle and what we're given, this is the map of the impacts of all the initiatives that we're given to, and you can see they go from you know, Australia to Thailand to India, so many different countries in Africa, to Colombia. And I will talk you to a few of the initiatives that we support. So you can see at the top here. Sorry, just another couple of people. Okay. For example, the top project and was like offering tuition classes to disadvantaged girls in Cambodia, and the one below, we gave 1,200 learning tools to nursery school children in Ethiopia. So the different with Buy One Give One, you can support all different the 17 goals for sustainable development. So some of them are to do with obviously with feeding the poor, some of them with health, and some of them maybe for water, and so many different support all the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And with each giving goes to, if you go actually to the Buy One Give One page, you can see how many of the givings for each one of the 17 different goals. With this one, we help them women to have to give birth safely in hospital in Kenya. Here we in 30 days of prevention workshop for sexual exploitation in Colombia. We help buy some bricks to building for building school in India, and provided some days of education to prevent girls from being trafficked in Cambodia. The biggest, the safest way of helping girls not being a part of the sex slave trade in these countries is to send them to school. And so, because a lot of the poorest families don't have the funds to send their children to school. So if they are in school, at least they are counted. The authorities know they exist, and they can keep an eye on them. So they are a lot safer from the sexual predators. We also given us these different things. This one was to provide medical support to rescued animals. As you can see, there a sheep with wheels where the back legs had failed. Again, talking about nursery school in Ethiopia. Agricultural training for farmers in Malawi, and clean water in Zambia. Okay. So these are all different projects that we are supporting. And although I say today is a free event, we also created a Just Giving page. So if anybody wants to donate anything, at the moment we are raising money to provide food packs to families, to poor families in the Philippines. They have been they have to be isolated because of coronavirus. Obviously, they have very little sums even when they are working. Now that they are not working, they are really struggling to pay. So I will put in a moment when doing the presentation, I will put the link in the chat. So if anybody wants to donate anything, whatever it is, maybe 10p, maybe £10, whatever you want, please follow the link and okay.
Right. Are we done? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is not. Sorry? No,
we'll talk about. I was just going to talk about that. Yeah. So we've got a little thing there. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about why we're putting these meetings together. We were initially doing this on a monthly basis in London, but since lockdown, we're proposing to do this every 2 weeks. And a lot of people are feeling bored and isolated and fed up, and it's a great opportunity to learn new skills. And we're proposing to put together some mini courses. Some people are offering their time free, so that we can develop those skills. We've got Woon is offering some mini courses on podcasting. We've got Julie, who is also on this call. Can't see her though. She's offering some courses on offering coaching. And Julie is one of the most down-to-earth people that we know. Hi, Julie. Oh, Julie, there she is. She's one of the most down-to-earth people that we know, and anybody who knows her will know that that's true. I've listened to her talking to people when they've talked about the problems that they've had in their businesses, and within minutes she can just cut to the core and tell them exactly what they're doing wrong and how they can put that right. So that's Julie who's offering that. We've got Jeff who is offering some sorry, I get all tongue twisted with this one. Search engine optimization and Google Ads, and he's got a wealth of knowledge to share with us on that. We've also got we're talking with people about LinkedIn and also social media, because we know that I'm lacking in that, and I know a lot of people out there are lacking in those skills as well. So it's a perfect opportunity to sort of like get involved in these things. Most of them are free. We're not sure about the LinkedIn and social media. We're trying to negotiate that. But, if we do have to pay, we're looking for maybe £5 per mini course for each series. So the idea of this is to just get together socially as well and create a community online. We were not able to do that offline because of the lockdown. So you may find that you may connect with people and you may sort of want to get in touch with them on a socially, or because you feel that you've got some synergy with them, or there may be some work connections that you want to get involved with them. So that's what Luke is going to talk about in a minute, about Google Sheets and how you can do that. We're also looking for people who can offer their services, because it's all a part about giving. You know, we're all trying to sort of give something to help each other out here, and if you can give your services free to help other people, that'd be really great. So what I'm going to do now is just go around and ask you to introduce yourselves. If you could just do that in 1 minute, give us your name, your profile, that's what your Wealth Dynamics profile. If you don't know what that is, please don't worry, but if you do, please let us know what that is. And if you can talk about what your business is, and also how we can help you and what you can offer. So if we start with the team first, because we haven't done this on our own, we've got Julie and Woon who are also part of the team, and we put this together. So it's not just, you know, Luke and I just because we're talking. We've got Woon and Julie have also contributed to this. So if we go over first to Julie, and if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. I can't see you, so I don't know who's on, but my name's Julie Hogbin. I'm a property investor and a leadership consultant of 30 plus years, training, coaching and mentoring. So my business has taken a hit, the same as a lot of people probably on this call, but so far we're okay. We've got everybody paying. Yeah, and genuinely, I know Katerina introduced me very briefly earlier. Genuinely, if anybody wants a call about anything about your business or about what to do or how to do it, remote management, working from home, any of those things, or just a general business conversation or life conversation, happy to do that. I've done quite a few already, and it's good to get things off your chest and to discuss them, so it stops it just going round and round and round and round and round in your head, because that's going to make us not well if we're not careful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Julie. So
you're welcome.
Can we go up? Can I just say, as we go around, if you could also tell us what your maybe one issue that you found during lockdown, where you can maybe help us to focus on for the next event. It would be good to do something that is very topical to and interesting to you. Okay.
I'm going to talk to. We're not going to say Woon, because Woon, we're going to let you introduce yourself when you do your talk. We thought we'd save that for. But there's Woon, who's also part of our team. And if we start from the top with Maria, that's my sister. So if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Yep, I'm Maria. I'm Katerina's sister. I work full time, but I also started getting into Reiki. So I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I do that in my spare time. With the lockdown, obviously, I can't get people to come round to me or for me to go round to them. So I'm doing what I call distant healing. So it still acts as though they're getting a Reiki, but we're doing it in our own homes, basically. And we just lock in at a time and a date in which to do that, and it seems to be working quite well. So I'm hoping to be able to do that as a full-time business at some point.
Lovely. Thank you very
Maria.
much, Maria. Thank you. Catherine Gallagher.
Hello. I am a supporter profile, and I'm busy at the moment building up my Tunbridge Wells community, and I've basically trained as a mentor and coach. So I'm using this time kind of to press the reset button, and I'm really sort of looking at building up my knowledge of my local community so I can see what they need, and then I'm thinking of running like mini masterminds and accountability groups, possibly linking in the global goals as well. So yes, that's me.
Thank you,
very
Catherine.
much, Catherine.
Thank you. Jeff?
Jeff. I'm muting you. Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, so the intro, the name's Jeff Alexander, supporter profile. Lockdown issue, things to discuss. I think it'd be good to talk about tools to use for online meetings and conferencing. There's been a lot in the news, hasn't there, about security of Zoom and people flash bombing and putting new pictures up and things like that, you know, when it's not wanted. So, you know, might be good to look at that. Blue Jeans, I hear, is another good tool that a lot of companies are using. It's supposed to be a lot more secure. So it'd be good to kind of know what tools we've got available, really, you know, being forced into this situation.
Okay.
I work with entrepreneurs and companies, and most people have been hit in one way or another. There's a couple of companies that are doing well in the commercial cleaning industry. So I'm in talks at the moment to help out a few companies along those lines. So, you know, let's see what happens there. And I do a lot of work with Google, as you know, and I'm looking to reformat a lot of the trainings that I've done in the recent past, to you know, cater for this kind of format, really. You know, the online calls. And over the last few weeks, I've actually done quite a few trainings delivered across Zoom, helping people, you know, get started with their advertising online and how to create a basic ad to get them started and up and running and so on. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to recently. Had my first workout in the park yesterday. Yeah, a nice run. My press ups, did my sit ups, and I took my socks and shoes off. Connected video and did some yoga.
Okay, thank you very much.
Barefoot yoga, so I heard all about it.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, Wendy, just going to mute you. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. Just to let you know that I work from home doing holistic therapies. Obviously, I can't do that now. So what I've just been trying to do is learn new therapies online, or different ones that I can learn to use for when I can start my business up again. So, yeah.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn. Oops, we're just trying to mute.
So I'm Linda.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you got me?
Yeah, we got you.
We're doing at the same time. So I'm a creator, but despite that, my background's actually accountancy, and I'm also a certified coach. So I work with business owners who want to make an impact, to help them understand more about their numbers, but also to help understand the stories that are going on in their head. So kind of the financial mindsets and kind of looking at what's blocking them. And like Julie, I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody at the moment, anytime, on either your numbers or on general coaching. So please feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Right, Nevis.
Hi, my name is Neves. So I'm a creator, and so I have few beauty businesses, and during the times that we are closed, I kind of thought that we should concentrate on inner beauty, considering we can't do anything to the outside. So I started connecting clients to different people that do different things. So we started with Rosaline, who is on the call here. So she's doing online yoga, and we are offering it to our clients. So we have some other people that we are going to connect the clients with until we reopen. So that's pretty much what I'm concentrating on at the moment.
Thank you very much, Nevis. Thank you. And Mary. Hi, hello.
Hello, hi. I'm
Hi.
Mary. I'm a graphic designer and I'm a creator profile. And currently in this lockdown, I'm trying to stay creative inside. And also I'm trying to get more of an online presence, so get more stuff out there.
Okay. That's lovely. Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you. Right, Jude.
Hi, hello. So
Hi.
my name's Jude Ugweg-Willem, so you can find me. Yeah, I've got two profiles, but the one where you can see most of my face is the one that you should go for. What am I? Yeah, so I have a consultancy where I help people with data protection and security. And funnily enough, thinking about what
Jeff.
Not Jeff. Yeah, thinking about what Jeff said, but more importantly, what Roger's been saying on the cash flow crash course. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. That's why I'm going to nick that, because that's exactly what I help people do. So with their businesses. So mainly I help property. So it's typically property businesses. I do all, but specifically property businesses. I am, you will find, and you have no surprise, I am actually a tempo accumulator. So this being locked down in at home malarkey is I am actually in my element. So the very fact that I can be at home on my own, bliss. So yeah, in terms of what you mentioned about what would be great to discuss. Well, in discussions that I've been having, because I actually enjoy what I'm doing, being at home and away from people. But what I've found is that there's a lot of people, probably you creators, most of you guys, are actually being stir crazy. So it'll be interesting to have something around how could you, find enough space to do what you need to do and balance body and mind. So I'd love to share what I can do is I can share a checklist that I've got, that I provide my clients, and it's really for people that work from home. So it covers off data security, but it also covers off, mind and body, because my challenge really is actually not going out. So I have to be mindful of the fact that I have to get my ass out and do some exercise. Jeff, that you went out to do your first workout. Left to my own devices, I would just stay indoors and do nothing. So yeah, it's pretty
great. Actually, Jude, it's something that you could do in a minute. I'll talk about the Google Sheet. You could share that in the Google Sheet so everybody can get access to it. That would be absolutely great.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yep.
Okay, so Peter. Hi, Peter. We haven't said hello. Hello, how are you?
Wait a minute. We are muting you. Just a second.
Right.
Okay.
There we go. You're all go.
Hi, Luca. Hi, Catherine. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
And you.
Okay, Peter Liner. I'm the CEO and founder of the Academy of Business Leaders and Entrepreneurs, which is quite a unique peer group program. I'm also a supporter, and fortunately, running my group meetings, I've run them by Zoom. And so far, I've split the day meeting over 2 sessions. So we have the speaker workshop in one morning and our clinic the second morning, and it's worked very well.
Brilliant.
And fingers crossed, I may have got my first new member to the leaders group this afternoon, all by virtual means, which I never ever thought would be possible. And coming back to your question, the thing that I miss most is I'm very much a social animal, and working from home is totally alien to me. I need the people connection.
Yeah.
So when we first started this, I was going absolutely nuts. But I got into the habit of going out each day, and I've been walking up to 10K. So I'm probably fitter than I've ever been. But just talking, keeping social distance from people, just saying hi to people was great. And that's the thing I miss most, is the social connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
But anyway, that's me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, Brian.
Brian, just unmuting you just a second. Okay, yep. Okay.
Hi. Hear me? Yeah.
Hi,
hey,
hello.
Everyone. Hi. I'm a little bit misnomer here because I'm down in Southwest. But however, Michelle's asked me to introduce myself to all the groups in the UK because I'm taking the iLab program. And so she said I may be able to help different groups within the UK because I'll be probably the only one in the UK at present who's doing the iLab. I've run my own business since 1999, but scaled that down a few years ago because we have a family business as well, which we started, which is in the Southwest Cornwall, which is we've moved closer to be at, and we're on the front line because we're a petrol station and a shop. So we're still open. So we've been having to deal with people who are being sort of a little bit awkward. They don't want to work. So some of the staff we've furloughed because of their choice. We've cut the hours back a little bit. But in the meantime, my sister-in-law and my wife, they run the business day to day. I do the analyticals in the background. So that's been running, and that's still going strong at the moment, with the added problem that my father-in-law's 91 and we're caring from at home at the premises. So that's obviously we're doing our little bit for the community there with our own family because we didn't want him to go into a home. It's always, and since Christmas, he's gone downhill really. So he's that's another issue that we're having to deal with within this stranger times, as they call it. Anyway, I've been in sales and marketing through my own business for 16 years, and before that, the corporate business within the motor trade and within the motor industry. So my game now is obviously, which I've been doing for a long while, is finally get my training course launched, which will be coming up soon, which is the entrepreneur selling system, which will teach people how to be out there in the front line and get noticed. So where a lot of people and a lot of businesses, they tend to be out there, cannot create any momentum, any forward planning. They tend to bob along, have a good month, bad month, good month, bad month. And initially when I started my own business, I went through this actual process. So the training is dealing with how to get you out there and meet the right market with the right message and attack the right customers. And you don't need loads of customers really, you just need the right amount of the right customers. But everybody tends to go for volume rather than quality. Okay. So I saw your message there, you're going to do it online, so I thought I'll come and introduce myself and hopefully we'll whatever help I can give. I'm on Facebook, you can find me there, so come and ask if you're struggling.
Lovely, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm a creator. I'm
a creator.
Okay. Yeah.
Where are you based, Brian?
I'm based in Falmouth, Cornwall. Do you know Cornwall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so down on the furthest tip, more or less, yeah. So it's strange because since we've had the lockdown, we've had good weather, so you can't understand it. Can't go to the beach, but we know it's there somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
Now, Rosaline. Whoops. Where are we? Oh, there we go. Hello, Rosaline. Hi.
Sorry, I missed the beginning because I was teaching. Now, what are we doing?
If you could just introduce yourself, your business, and then basically tell us how you can help or how we can help you with anything that you want. We're just trying to create a social community and help each other in business as well with any business ideas or business experiences that we can share with everybody.
So any issues that we found with the lockdown, and if there is something that we can cover during one of our next events, then we will gladly do.
At the moment, just introduce yourself, tell us what profile you are and talk about your business. So that's what we're going around at the moment doing.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Rosaline Bloomfield. I'm a trader in terms of profile. and my business is about inner blooming actually. So I'm into health and well-being, and my focus is more on mental and spiritual health and well-being, but I do physical as well. So I've just been, with the lockdown, I've fallen back on an old skill, yoga classes. So I've been teaching a yoga class actually just before this. It's going to be innovative. So yeah, so that's basically what I do. So I help people to identify their life purpose, spiritual side, using scientific hand analysis. And I also, I'm just currently going over my flow consultant course because I've got a debrief on Sunday and I've not done one for a little while. So I do coaching around purpose, around life mission, around gifts and talents, and that is what I do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Adriana.
Take a second.
Hello.
Okay.
There we go. Hi.
Hi
Again.
there. Yes, I'm again. I'm Adriana. I'm a Dynamo star. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've closed down a gallery, an art gallery, in October last year, and I'm really glad we closed it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So we became a nomadic gallery and an art consultancy, and that's what we've been kind of focused on doing for the last few months, building up contracts and clients, and it's been fantastic. And working on all sorts of creative ideas like arties, which are curated art parties, working with really interesting collaborations, such as in Harley Street with clinics, doing art and well-being events. Lots and lots of things are happening. So when this all kind of hit, we just thought, well, it kind of got in the way of a couple of things, because I love going out as well. I love doing networking and meeting people. And then we I came up with an idea of something that we'd done in the gallery, which was drink and draw life drawing classes. And so last week we launched Drink and Draw Online. And so that's been fantastic. We just got so booked out. It was like, oh my God, I had to add 10 more spaces. And then this week, we're getting booked out again. So that's running tomorrow again in the evening. And from that, we've just thought, right, well, we're going to do a course on the weekend. And so we're doing an art course that involves a bit of my background, which is academic. So we're doing a little bit of art history, looking at art, looking at paintings, but also looking at drawing. And then my partner's an artist. And so we're combining both our skills and creating these events online, which are, feeding into both our skills. And we're just having a whale of a time.
Brilliant.
So that's one of the things, yeah. Other than that, I'm also a property developer, and I have holiday letting properties, which hasn't been so great. But I woke up yesterday with somebody did a very long-term booking in one of my places, because they're coming back from the Indian Ocean somewhere, and they want to quarantine in my holiday property for a while. So that was cool.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, Yasmina.
Hi, Yasmina.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
What's up, how's it going?
We've just introduced. Sorry?
It's great to see you too.
Yes.
Is this introductions?
Yes, introductions, yes.
All right. So my name is Yasmina. I am a student at Cambridge University, currently full on in exam mode. But when I'm not in full on exam mode, I have an entrepreneurship podcast where basically I interview younger and also more seasoned entrepreneurs. I've interviewed a few venture capitalists lately, which has been quite interesting. All about sort of what are the mindsets, what are the habits, what are the strategies and the routines that help them sort of be on their A game and help their business scale as well, which is really awesome. And I've also been hosting masterminds for young entrepreneurs, really, really interesting masterminds, mainly based on how you can sort of explode your network and communicate really effectively with people, which goes into sales and team management as well, but also how can you have a great social circle, especially as an entrepreneur, because the journey is quite lonely. So I've been doing that as well. And yeah, that's basically the rundown of me right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's one thing that I wanted to actually add, not just me, I'm just saying generally, at the beginning I mentioned about mini courses, but we also want to do something on the social side and well-being. And I know that Rosalie's offered yoga courses online, a yoga course online, and Luca, who is an amazing cook, and I know because I've tasted his food, is offering some cookery classes in vegan Italian food, and he is absolutely amazing. He really is. He's been brought up by his grandmother who cooked for 50 years, and his mother who used to follow all these recipes down to the T, and he's been brought up with all this fantastic food, and I've been at the benefit of tasting it, and I just want to share with you that if he runs these courses and you want to be a good cook, just join them because you'll learn a lot from him. So there we go, praising you online.
No, I know. If I can say a couple of things about that, is that we have a lot of friends that are vegan, and also ourselves are going more and more into that direction. And often we've been out, and the offering for vegan food, although it's getting better, is normally obscene. So we're thinking a lot of Italian cooking, and obviously the dishes that you know more about are what we call the party dishes in Italy that we have maybe once or twice a year. But every day, Italian cooking is very simple, or based on fresh ingredients and things that are seasonal, and then you can cook in literally 10-15 minutes. And a lot of the things that we eat every day are naturally vegan, even if we don't call them such, because that was before even the word vegan was invented. We use those are most of the things that we have every day. So I'd be happy to share with you the right way of cooking Italian and not how they do it in the UK. Okay? So if you're interested, come along. We all get our pots out and we can put it together.
Right, okay, so let's talk about Google Sheets.
Yes, a new initiative that we're doing as well, that we, after this event, we will send you all a link to a Google Sheet where we can put our details down. Whether it's obviously up to you if you want to have your details there or not. It basically to create a bit more of a community, a bit more of a bartering kind of scene in a London circle. So we can all say, who we are, briefly what our business is, what our profile, and if you know what your impact, what your level is on the impact meter. And we can write two things. One is what we can offer somebody in the group. If you have got, maybe you are in a position where you have some time that you can give to somebody else. And two, what you need. Because sometimes you might need to fill in some positions in your business, and there might be somebody that's got exactly those skills that you need. So if we can both put what we're able to offer, whether it's for free or for money, it doesn't matter, and what we are looking for in a business, whether it's a person or a particular skill that we need some help with, and so we can start creating some exchanges in our group, because we all got to know each other. Hopefully, most of us like each other. So people buy people, and so it makes the transactions a lot easier. Okay. So.
Right, now we're going to introduce Woon. So I'll let you do that introduction. Woon, are you ready? Ready, steady, go. Yeah. So we're going to introduce Woon now, who's going to be talking about podcasting.
We've been really lucky to meet Woon in now about more than a year ago now, and it's been such a great person to meet, because I must say, it's business person has got the heart in the right place, and it's so helpful, so giving with both his time and his skill, and it's really a joy to be around you. So, we hope we're happy to be called your friends, and I'm really happy to introduce you today, because I think you deserve a big stage. Not that this is a big stage, but you deserve a really big one. Okay, so this is the start.
Thank you.
So, over to Woon.
We can now over to Woon, and you can start sharing your screen when you're ready.
Yeah.
And so if you have questions for Woon, can you please post them in the group chat, or the other thing, you can post it on the Facebook page in the event post, and Woon will answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so over to you, Woon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's yeah, I've been sort of helping out at the London City Circle for over a year, pretty much when you guys started, not too long after you guys started. So it's been a pleasure working with you guys and seeing all these amazing speakers and really building this community up. And I think we are very fortunate that we are, in a big city, in a very, like we've managed to build up a very good community. So yeah. So basically, I'm gonna introduce myself and then share my screen and get started in terms of what we are here to help you guys understand a bit more about podcasting and why podcasting really is something you should be considering now and how to get started. So basically, I got involved in podcasting 6 years ago, and my story is that I was working in insurance full time. I had a 10-year career in insurance. I studied to be an actuary. It's a very still environment. I was doing modeling work. I was doing risk management work for, managing the insurance risk of Tesco underwriting. And so that was a very still environment. I knew I wanted to sort of go into entrepreneurship, and I was exploring how I could sort of get involved. And then obviously I sort of encountered wealth dynamics, and so I realized, oh, I'm a star profile, and okay, what's a star profile do? And really discovered that, oh, I actually, like, you can interview people. But at that point I was already starting to listen to podcasts, and I thought, okay, maybe I should just explore how to how to get a podcast up and running. And that's how I got started. So I'm gonna quickly share screen now, just to make sure wonder if I could. Is everyone seeing this screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Yay. So it's kind of funny doing a webinar, giving a talk like this. Yeah, so that's the name of my company, Podcast Publishing. I've been running this company for just over a year now. So this is basically an image of me running my first podcast interview at home. And the guy I was interviewing actually was the founder of a meetup group called the Clean Web Meetup Group in London, and he was he was someone who was he's a technical person, a programmer, but what he sort of managed a very grassroots meetup group where he was very keen to promote environmental technology, developing new softwares, and helping with some of the most cutting edge environmental and clean technology companies in London. And one of the things that I did was I was very keen to learn more about this whole space. I knew that, having been to a Roger Hamilton event, there was all these waves coming, and he always talked about, the creating an impact and making the difference. And I knew I didn't know anything about the environmental challenges we're facing. And so I thought maybe I could interview some of these people. And I got to know him. I got involved in the meetup group and started interviewing people. And the first guy I managed to interview was the founder of this group. So I thought, well, it's working for me. Like I wanted to network. I wanted to learn more about this space. And so even before running my first podcast, I knew that I'm making progress because I was able to, just propose an idea, and it was valuable to him to even come all the way to my house. So that was how I started. So just a quick question. If I could see, I don't think I can see in the chat, but how many of you here are listening to podcasts? If you could show, give me a thumbs up if you can, if I can get an indicator. Yes. Okay. So we've got podcast listeners. So if you could drop down in the chat, why do you listen to podcasts? I'm curious. And not very often, but sometimes interesting, insightful. Jeff saying, knowledge, acquire new skills, mindset. Yes, that's for a lot of people. Really learning something new, interesting topics, time skills. I'm guessing like because it saves you time. Really easy way to engage. Yeah. Cool. Accessible, great way to consume content. Yes, absolutely. I mean, for people who are not aware of what a podcast is, how many of you haven't listened to a podcast at all? I'm just trying to understand the audience. If you could say, could wave if you have not listened to a single episode of podcast. Okay. Yeah. So basically, a podcast is it's audio only content, and it's really a series of digital audio files made available online, and you can listen to it on your mobile phone or on your desktop, or even your smart speaker if you've got one of those OK Google device or Amazon Alexa. So it's basically audio that that's a sort of a step ahead of radio, really. So in a way, you can think of podcasts as audio content that you can consume anytime, anywhere. And so that's really what a podcast is. And so just trying to see how I can move my screen. Okay, yeah. So basically, we are entering a golden age of podcasting, and podcasting has been growing consistently in the last 10 years, since it's sort of since it's really took off just over 10 years ago. And the first wave of podcasters were really comedians, because they realized like they could create all these jokes, and all they needed was for people to listen to their jokes, and they could really quickly build their personal brand through podcasting. And just to share with you some stats, a third of the US population are listening to podcasts weekly. So podcasting has come a long way. It's consistent growth over the last 10 years. It's almost 10% growth over the last 10 years. And in the UK, the listeners have doubled in the last 5 years, and this growth is actually accelerating. And so if you for a lot of podcasters and podcast listeners, you'll be aware like there's just so much more content out there, and you know, like more and more people are talking about podcasting, and podcasting is really come into a mainstream. And you know, BBC has created their own podcasting platform. They have invested heavily. You know, for me, one of the key things that I look at is when BBC posts a news article on on any topic and on any trend, and this happened you know, just over a year ago. So podcasting is really growing massively, partly because of technology, and so it's now. So what's Google doing? Google is actually starting to index podcasts, meaning that podcasts would appear in search results just like text, images, and videos. So if you think about it, what Google has done with, well, what YouTube has done with videos, they are doing it for podcasts and audio content. So if you run a business, you know, if you're thinking of creating content, absolutely you need to start considering podcasting, because you know, if you want to appear on search results, and Google is having this massive ambition around podcasting, it's really the time to get involved. And that image is really a Google Home device. And so the interface for listening to a podcast, it used to be that you have to download an app on your smartphone. But going forward in the future, when we've got all these smart devices and connected devices, and I'm guessing, well, 5G technology, you know, you can easily call out a podcast and just ask your speaker to play your favorite podcast. And so this is going to be a game changer to how we interact with podcasting and audio content. So this is something that I wanted to share with you guys. By the way, there's going to be Q&A at the end, so I'm going to quickly rush through some of these slides and then we can get into the more interactive bit. So some of you might know, well, Spotify being a music streaming application, it's been reported that 81% of people have taken action as a result of listening to a podcast ad. And podcast ads, you know, just like how you would listen to a radio and an ad would appear. So podcasting brands are sort of realizing that podcasting is a channel that converts their customers. And so when Spotify realized like they have a massive audience in front of them streaming music, they sort of went on a acquisition spree a couple of years ago now. And so they've bought something like, you know, 5 or 6 different podcasting, some of the really big podcast networks, podcasting technology platforms, and they really integrated them into their platform. And what they found is that they came out with a report not too long ago called the Share of Year report, and they said that when listeners listen to a podcast, they either research more about the product, they sort of create word of mouth effect, and they interact with a social media brand of a podcast because of listening to a podcast. So that's one of the I guess the big players in the podcasting space. So the other thing that you know that is that Apple Podcasts is is one of the biggest player in the podcasting space, and almost 40% to 50% of the listeners are actually coming through Apple Podcasts, and partly because they were the first one that created an application that allowed anyone to create an audio and put it online. And that's really what they've done. They just created a directory within iTunes 10 years ago and enabled anyone who's got audio content to upload their content. And so since then, there's been 900,000 podcasts available on Apple Podcasts. And when I was giving this talk probably about 3 months ago now, the number was 750,000. So you can see that within the last 6 months, the number has just gone absolutely, it's just growing really quickly in the last like 3 months. And so that's the number of podcasts that are available. And when I mean 900,000, what I mean is 900,000 different podcasts. So this is not number of episodes, but 900 different, almost like think of podcasts as almost like a YouTube channel. So there are 900,000 podcasts. This is an interesting slide I wanted to share. So as podcasting is growing, the type of audio content is becoming more and more diverse. And Spotify actually commissioned a podcasting agency to create a podcast called My Favorite Dog's my dog's favorite podcast. And it's actually there's only 5 episodes, but two of the episodes are actually 5-hour long, and it's actually a podcast for your dog. So imagine Spotify is like actually paying an agency to create a podcast for your favorite for your dogs to play at home to entertain your dogs. So anyone's got a dog, and you need something to as an excuse to not to be distracted. You've got a dog podcast. Chompers is a podcast that's like 2-minute long, and it's for kids when they are sort of brushing their teeth. And DTR is actually a podcast commissioned by it's actually what you call a branded podcast, a bit like branded content. So these are podcasts that are paid for and sponsored by Tinder, which is obviously a dating app, and they had this amazing show that about dating, really. So just a quick mention around who are generally the podcast listeners, what type of demography they come from. So podcasting, you can consider it as a new technology or an old technology, but basically, like any new forms of media, new forms of channel, the younger audience tends to pick it up first, and then as it becomes more mainstream, everyone starts to listen. But what we're seeing is that podcast audience tend to be big earners and big spenders. They tend to be spending more than the average consumer. They tend to have smart speakers. They are more likely to subscribe to Netflix. They're highly educated, and this is across the globe. And so you can see that obviously the richer countries, the more advanced countries where you've got an iPhone, where there are more sort of iPhone users, podcast listeners would tend to be sort of, I guess they start to sort of it sort of rolls out from there. So this slide is really an interesting one. So podcasting, we know that podcasting offers passionate, highly targeted, on-demand content. And this was one of the stats that I pulled out. So basically, if you create a video on Facebook and if you create a video on YouTube, the average listening times or the watch time are really, really short. And from experience, right? So if you don't capture your audience attention within a very quick space of time, you really lose their attention. And so those are the numbers. For Facebook is really 60 to 90 seconds. I mean, this stat was probably about just over or just under a year ago, so it's probably still relevant. Average watch time on YouTube is 4 minutes, whereas average podcasts are 20 minutes long, and 80% of listeners tune into entire episodes. So this is really highly engaging content that people are actively choosing to listen to. And so the way we are consuming podcasts means that you can really quickly create the trust, and the trust and liking factor on an online space quickly. And if you've seen the what do you call Google produced a report some time ago called the zero what is it called? It's called the I think it's called the Zero Moment of Truth report, and it basically shows us that you need 7 hours of content, 11 interactions, and 4 different platforms to build the trust before someone actually purchase online. And so if you have a podcast, it's a really quick way to accelerate the numbers of hours and time that you spend with your audience, with your community. So that's the reason why podcasting is so powerful. So and yeah, I've kind of slightly touch on this, but basically you might think that there's a lot of podcasts out there, less than 1 million actually, but if you compare it with YouTube channels and active blog posts, for every podcast out there are 70 YouTube channels, 700 active blog posts. So there's really no comparison in terms of the competition. And and this is one of the quotes that I picked up from Seth Godin. So Seth Godin was the guy, legendary marketer. Pretty sure most people know of him. He was one of the early pioneers in blogging, where he was advising everyone to start blogging way before it was common, right? And now his advice is podcasting is the new blogging. So that's what he's saying. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, why would you create a podcast? So this is one of my clients. So he created a podcast called Impact Leaders, and he was new to what you call the impact investment or the sustainable investment space. So these are investing corporate institutional investors that are investing in the SDG goals or the environment or social impact. And so he was very keen to learn more about this space, and he was coming from a different area of banking, but he decided, okay, he's going to use podcasting interviews, and he just went out to connect with people. And over time, he's been able to connect with more and more sort of influential people with bigger and bigger sort of, assets that they're managing. And so really podcasting, especially the interview approach, allows you to be a leading learner, because it just you sort of learning from the best and networking and sort of giving value to your audience, but at the same time promoting your guests. And so that's really, if there's one reason why you should be podcasting, this would be I would say the biggest reason why podcasting is so powerful, because there's no for me personally, I think podcasting is the quickest way to really create influence, really. Connections and network. So podcasting allows you to create a personal connection with your guests far more efficient than other means. These 3 different podcasts are some of the podcasts where I've been part of, I've sort of hosted myself and co-hosting actually. So just to quickly touch on them, like the Entrepreneur Sushi Club is really just a fun project that I'm involved in, and we're sort of interviewing people that are absolutely passionate and adore sushi, and these are entrepreneurs. And I met my co-host like 3 months ago, and now we've got this amazing podcast, and we are sort of using this podcast to create something fun, interesting, and it's been brilliant. I mean, I think when you have a podcast, it's so easy to just go out and meet people, network with people, and Stories of Expansion, I'm co-hosting with an absolutely amazing coach called Gosha Gona, and she's a supporter profile, and I'm a star profile for those of you who don't know me. So we've sort of been interviewing entrepreneurs that are sort of having to come through really challenging times in their life and turn it around, and that's kind of the theme of that podcast. And for me, I've been using podcasting to really go around to network with people, and using it as an excuse to sort of knock on the door of people and really promoting other people. But also, I'm sure you know that once you or some of you might have been on other people's podcasts, podcasting is really a quick way to have a 1 hour, half an hour conversation with a guest. And I think in that half an hour you can really create a connection with someone that probably lasts a lifetime, right? So if you're thinking about the time commitment and the energy involved in creating a podcast, it's a very small amount of time, and you get a huge amount of return. And so really use if you get an opportunity to be on the podcast, definitely highly recommend it. And obviously generating an income stream. So the number one podcast out there, the Joe Rogan Experience, he made 30 million in 2019, and he started his podcast 10 years ago, just after the global financial crisis, and he's making like, I think, 750,000 per episode. So that's the power of the podcast. That's obviously the number one podcast out there, and he's gone on to interview Elon Musk, billionaires, and been really fundamental in shifting a lot of the cultural conversations of our time. And I think it's so interesting watching how he's done it. And like, obviously everything's changing right now, but in the last like year or so, he's been interviewing all these US presidential candidates and it really shifting the game for how politicians are playing the political game in America. And if you sort of follow the American politics, when Barack Obama became president, he had really the most amazing email marketing campaign ever. And so that's part of the reason why his campaign really pushed through, because of his digital marketing and, well, really the email campaign. And obviously we know that what happened to Donald Trump when he sort of really spent his money on Facebook. And so that's it's just quite interesting what's happening in this space. So yeah, Patreon memberships. That's one of my friends' podcasts, Rise to Meet You. It's absolutely hilarious podcast. He's a fellow Malaysian. I'm from Malaysia. He's a comedian actually, and so he created this podcast 6 months ago, and within 6 months, he's been consistent releasing episodes every week. Now he's got just over 1,000 pounds per month generated on his Patreon membership. So for people who don't know about Patreon is a sort of a membership subscription platform for any sort of type of content creators. So YouTube channels, podcasters, they create membership subscriptions on Patreon, and that's like a really powerful way to test out your content, create a following. So there are new ways of income streams that are being generated through podcasting, and that's one of the potentials of podcasting, really. And obviously the first point there, the more followers you have, the more likely you're going to get prospects, and so the more you're going to sell your coaching program, sell your sort of your products and services. And so it's really a powerful way to build your brand, create the following, create the prospects that you're looking for. So that's really I guess some of the reasons why podcasting is so powerful, why I highly recommend you to consider podcasting. So for those who who's not listened to a podcast, it's pretty much these would be the 3 steps, 3 easy steps to listen to a podcast. I guess if you're on this Zoom call, you should be tech savvy enough to download a podcast app and stream a podcast and listen to a podcast. And I sort of put down the Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, because they, in my opinion, they are the 3 main sort of apps to consume podcasts. And so how does a podcast gets published? So a lot of the times, most people come to me, they have got this question on how, what happens behind the scene, right? So effectively, when you have a podcast, it's really an audio file. So it's an MP3 file. And what you want to do is really upload the MP3 file onto a podcast hosting platform. So at this stage, there are many different podcast platforms out there. And there's a distinction between what's on the second column and the fourth column here. So the podcast hosting platforms are really places where you would host the audio files. So these are these are online platforms where you just upload your audio files or your MP3 files, and where the listeners would download your files are these podcast directories. So technically, these apps that I mentioned in the previous slide. These platforms are really directories that people listen to. They can discover new podcasts. They can, I guess, rate and review a podcast on these platforms. And so there's a sort of a pipe that connects the platforms and the hosting platforms and the directories, and this is called a RSS feed. And basically, you got to submit your podcast, and so that's kind of how it works, really. So there are many different hosting platforms out there. There's no sort of YouTube for podcasts. There are a lot of different podcast platforms trying to be the new, I guess, the YouTube for podcasts, or you can argue, the Netflix of podcasts. But at this stage, it's really still a very wide open game out there, and we're still in. I would say we're still early days in podcasting. One of the big questions people always come to me is really around the audio equipment. I mean, we are sort of all quarantined at home right now, so home interviews, I guess, is most relevant for most people. There are a couple of microphones that I recommend, and really what you need is a mic and then a mic and a headphone to prevent what you call feedback between if you're listening on your laptop and speaking to your laptop, there tends to be a feedback loop that you want to sort of get rid of. So those are what you need, really: a mic, a headphone, and software like Zoom. Face-to-face interview, I guess I can skip this slide. And I just want to quickly end with this story, really. So it's the story of two gentlemen, and it's very inspiring, well, at least personally to me. So it's the story of two legends that, because of their voice and how they've approached their, what they've done, using their thoughts, their actions, and their words, they have really greatly impacted humanity. And these two guys are legends. And the first guy is sorry. Sorry, I was gonna say quickly. Yeah, so the first guy is really Stephen Hawking. Sorry, and so Stephen Hawking's he couldn't speak because of his illness, and he had to use the latest technology, the most advanced technology, to even communicate with people. And obviously he really inspired a universe, right? So, and he's really one of my inspirations. And so this is kind of what he have to say. So for millions of years, mankind lived just like animals. Then something happened, with unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to speak, and we learned to talk, and we learned to listen. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling human beings to work together to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. So that's Stephen Hawking. And the second guy that I wanted to mention is really Nelson Mandela. And we all know that Nelson Mandela changed the world through his action and through his political campaigning. And this is what he's got to say, right? So it is never my custom to use words lightly. If 27 years in prison have done anything to us, it was to use the silence of solitude to make us understand how precious words are and how real speech is in its impact on the way people live and die. So, yeah. So to me, these two guys are absolute legends who sort of lived through the same period of our life, and they're both dead. They're both not around anymore. But to me, he's still really these are some of my inspirations. And they both had very different experience with how they've gone about using their power of their voice. And one of them had to use the latest technology. One was completely silenced, but really still made a difference. So that's really the story of the two gentlemen. So my challenge and my I guess my question to you is, how are you going to use your voice? And one of the things that always make me wonder is what would they be chatting about if they had a podcast? Cool. So so pretty much that's what I wanted to share. So I guess are there any questions? Obviously, please unmute yourself if you wanted to ask a question.
Hi, Woon.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Who's this?
It's Jeff. Hang on a second. Let me let's put the video back on. Can you see me?
Oh, is it Jeff?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah.
You remember
cool.
me?
Yes,
Hi.
of course I know. I recognize your voice, but I couldn't see where you were. Yes, sorry.
Have I got a podcast voice?
Yes, everyone's got a podcast voice.
You mentioned that there were 7 hours of content, 11 interactions, and something else for.
Yes, 4 interactions.
4
interactions.
Okay, 4 interactions. So what was the 11 content?
No, so 7 hours of content,
Yeah.
11 interactions, and 4 places, 4 different locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's called the 0 Moment of Truth report, and it's a concept that's been around for long.
Actually. Yeah, it's a good little report, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's such a powerful report what they've created, and I think for a lot of sorry, what you can say?
It talks about how people shift from mobile to their desktop to tablets, and how we kind of got to track them and appear and show up in each of these places. So yeah, it was quite a useful thing. So can I also ask you how you think how has Joe Rogan done what he's done? Obviously, timing was a big part of it, but how else has he grown to be the number 1 top podcast with such popularity?
So what's really interesting with Joe Rogan is that he was interviewing a lot of the MMA fighters, which was where came from, where his sort of background came from, right? And over time, in the last 10 years, he was really riding the wave of YouTube. And so because he had such a long content where he interviews people for like 3 hours, right? And so because podcasting didn't really it's still quite difficult to drive traffic to podcasts. It's still a challenge, right? And discovery is still it's still a bit clunky. There's not a lot of algorithm game, like SEO. There's no sort of optimization for podcasting. I mean, obviously for some of you who know anything about YouTube, there's YouTube optimizing. There's you got to have an amazing thumbnail. You got to have a title that stands out. You got to really capture people's attention. So none of that is happening with podcasting at this stage. So with how Joe Rogan has expanded, he's really just positioned himself through his storytelling and the way he asks questions. And so that's one of the big reasons why he's managed to build an audience, because he wasn't he's not using, what's interesting is he's not using his podcast to almost promote a business, right? So he's really just content creating, and he and sort of over time he's been having all these without being too sort of pushy in how he promotes himself. So the key to how Joe Rogan really really grew was partly due to his interview style, that people enjoyed his sort of banter with the guests. he doesn't sort of push a very strong narrative, well, at least initially. But now obviously the guests that he's bringing on, I mean, he's always controversial, so I think some of the guests that he's managed to invite some of the big names. Cool.
So is he monetizing through advertising or not?
Yeah, I mean, when I shared that number, that's a lot of, I'd say a vast majority of that number, I believe, comes from YouTube ads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where else does the money come from? Where does the rest of it come?
I believe it's just products and, like, affiliates and things like that. It's like, I mean, like promoting other people's, products and services, and then getting a stream of income from there. But those are obviously just estimates, so obviously you can't really tell how much he's making, and I'm pretty sure he's making a lot more than that. that's what I estimate. Yeah.
Woon, can you tell us how long it takes? Somebody wants to start launching their podcast tomorrow. How long it takes from beginning to having the finished product?
I mean, it really depends. I think it really depends how polished and how what do you call like how well you want the podcast to perform. And obviously the more planning you put in place, the better, the more you create a brand around the podcast, the better it stands out. But in my experience, on average, you need about a month or less. And really, there's no stopping anyone from going on an app and then recording and putting it online. And like that can take less than an hour. So in a short answer, couple of weeks, a few hours a week, getting the your branding, your thoughts around the branding, getting some preparations around like buying your audio equipment, planning things ahead, inviting your guests, and then I guess polishing the podcast up, editing it, writing, creating some show notes, promoting it. That's really what it takes.
Rosaline here.
Yeah, hi.
I've got a question. With, say, 900,000 podcasts, I think you said, on Apple. So do you think that are most people doing podcasts to monetize it, or are they doing podcasts because they feel they have something they want to say, or they want to say through other people?
So I don't think monetizing is one of the big reasons why, or at least of the 900,000 there, right? I don't think monetizing is the biggest reason why these people are starting the podcast. I think creating an audience, networking, those are sort of bigger priorities for most people. I think a lot of, especially, I mean, if you go back, like longer, like people are podcasting because they're passionate about a subject, because they feel they have a strong voice around a particular topic. And also a lot of podcasts out there there's many different categories of content out there. So there's lots of content around the social and cultural scene, and people are creating podcasts around their favorite TV series. So there's a lot of different content out there, and that number includes all of these types of podcasts. And so it's not just business podcasts.
What about the frequency of the episodes? I mean, all the successful podcasts, are they on a once a week or?
Yeah, I think I think so. I think once a week is the I would say, I mean, if I sort of work with a client, I tend to recommend once a week. But having said that, in terms of the frequency of the podcast, in the last I guess in the last year or so, in the last 2 years, there have been daily podcasters which are creating content every day and uploading it, almost like an audio journal type approach. And so they're sharing and documenting, what's happening, and they're really using podcasting in a very, very powerful way. And I'm seeing a number of businesses, business owners, starting to do that, and they are really getting a lot of traction out of that. Yeah, and I mean, weekly is a good rhythm, because once you get started, all you need is spend a couple of hours a month, and you get your interview recorded, get your content recorded, and then you can schedule things out. I mean, I guess I can, Julie, if she's on. I mean, Julie's been podcasting for some time as well. Just wondering how frequently have you been podcasting?
I'm on. I've been releasing once a week, and I've just upped it to 2 a week. But my problem is I haven't done much publication of that or promotion of that, which I'm just starting. But it's now got what do you call it? A sort of a back catalogue that people can go to. And I was recommended that I didn't start until I had at least 6 episodes up, so that people could go there and actually physically see something. I've been doing it for nearly, I don't know how many, maybe 9 months. So there's a good few episodes up, and they cover various subjects, and I've done a mix between interviews and subject.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done sort of a dual podcast. Yeah, that's what I've done, wrongly or rightly.
Have you been getting a lot of engagement?
I haven't really promoted it. The one I've promoted a couple just recently, because I've done some LinkedIn to remote working, with this virus going around, people being stuck indoors. I've done a couple on that, and I've promoted them. They've got good interaction from what I can see. But again, I'm not very good on the back office side of it. I don't upload them myself. I let somebody do it for me. And I don't actually really go in and check, and I know I should. And coming back to your point, I don't do it for any monetary reason. It's a bit like, for me, it was a bit like writing a book. It's just another platform that my message goes out on. I certainly don't expect to earn money from it. Well, certainly not yet, anyway.
Can I ask a question? What you mentioned that the average listening time is 20 minutes. Is that right?
Well, the average podcast is 20 minutes.
Right. Okay.
But the completion rate is very high. It's about 80%. 80% of listeners actually complete listening across some of these platforms. But so it's high for a lot of listeners. So you can see that there might be, if your content is not very good, people would drop off. But obviously there's still a lot of people that actually, because they're actively choosing to listen to that podcast, they would stick around. Yeah.
Got another question.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and it's definitely true, I mean, having my own podcast, I understand, but obviously it's very hard to drive traffic to your podcast and to get the word out.
Yeah.
Are there any really good ways to do this in your experience?
Yes. So this is I mean, there's the, I guess, the marketing side, but before I come to that, I would say that for anyone who's followed Roger Hamilton's stuff, you know that he's got this I guess the different the 4-lane highway, the different impact highways that he talks about. And when you're creating your podcast, the podcast audience avatar is really people who would share your content. So so if you're creating any content that's free, and obviously this includes videos and blogs as well, you're really targeting people who will share your content. And when you know that people are sharing your content, then you know that those are the best audience that you really should be targeting your content to. And so you're really trying to actively create a podcast that answers their problems, that helps them, solve whatever topic that they, challenge that they have, inspire them in a particular area of their life or their business. So that's one of the key things I would say, like to reconsider who you're targeting, and then I guess ask the questions when you're conducting the interviews, to specifically be relevant to these types of audience. So people who would share your content, they are really almost like the power users of your podcast, I guess. And then the marketing side, I don't know, are you doing audiograms? So
is that like the thing on Instagram where you have like a little podcast?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, it does take a lot of time and effort. So there's this thing called audiograms, which is basically short audio clips from your podcast, but it's actually a video file that's got a sort of eye-catching diagram that when you play it or when you click on it, there's like this sound moving wave, and you can sort of brand it really well. You can sort of visually create something that's really stands out. And so that's one of the powerful ways to get your I guess your podcast more traction. And it obviously is not just getting listeners to your podcast, but that would help you engage people on on Facebook or Instagram, and so that type of engagement will still be very useful for your business.
Okay, awesome. Cheers, Woon.
Yeah. And I guess one thing to understand is that I mean, there's going to be a lot more people interacting with you on social media than listening to your podcast. So even if they interact with your post or your audiogram, they might still be sharing that podcast, because I know personally I've shared lots of different podcasts without even listening to a podcast. So
well, there we go. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very sneaky. I like it.
Any other questions?
I've got one, Woon.
Yeah.
I see some people host their podcasts on their own website.
Yep.
And I'm not sure they host it on some of the platforms like, I don't know, Spotify or Apple or whatever the others are. Is there a benefit to hosting it on your own website?
So if you're hosting it on your website, so I believe Squarespace and I think Wix actually allows you to host audio files on the content management platform, but it's very limited. So the reason why you need a podcast hosting platform is because they're designed to handle the bandwidth and the traffic, and also obviously with a podcast hosting platform you can actually see the analytics. You can actually know where how many people are listening, where they cut off, where they stop, where they drop off, where they're coming from, which platforms and which links they're coming in from. There's no, I mean, the only reason why you would create you would host a podcast on your on your website on Wix or some of these platforms is because it's a quick approach to get your content out while you develop or while you get your head around the real behind the scene.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I also
Thanks.
add to that on Julie, a friend of mine, what she does, she hosts on Libsyn, but then she actually has a link on, so on her, if you go onto her website, you would actually think it's on there because there's a link, so she'll have her show notes on there. She has like a gallery and then there's a link, but if you click through, it's actually pulling through from Libsyn, so it's not being hosted on a website, it's actually been hosted on Libsyn. But she also has, it's also on Apple, on Spotify, on basically everywhere as well.
Okay, thank you. It's not for me, by the way. It's just I've noticed it, and I thought it just felt a bit. Didn't quite understand why.
So basically, all these podcast hosting platforms, they for each episode they would supply you with an audio player and a code that gives you the audio player that you can embed onto your website. So that's what Lynn's talking about.
Oh, okay.
So if if for each episode you can create a blog post. And so if you have, I'm guessing most people are on WordPress, right? So you can create a blog post for each episode, and with each episode, I guess you can create a show note or short little blog, but people would discover your content on your website. And so that's the main reason why you would want to have the podcast on your website. It's really for people who are discovering your podcast, and either through your website or or if they don't have they're new to podcasting, they're not trying to listen on the apps, they're landing on your website, they would know, okay, so you've got a podcast, that's interesting, so that's the main reason.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask everybody to raise their hand to Woon for a presentation?
Thank you.
If anybody is interested in joining Woon's mini course, then by the end of the week we're going to email everybody with the different courses they are available, and you can make contact directly with him. Now, before we go, can we just quickly, as this is the first online event that we hosted, I would like to quickly go around the room and ask everybody, what's your feeling about the format, about the event, any suggestions, anything that you liked. So if we could have about a minute each, and then we'll call it a day, and we'll.
Please be honest if you didn't like it. We're open, and you're helping us by telling us the truth.
Yes, exactly, but we don't really want to hear it. Shall we start with Lynn?
Okay. Well, thank you, Woon. That was really interesting. And Luca and Katerina, thanks for hosting. I enjoyed it. I liked the format, and it's good continuing to have somebody in speaking, as well as kind of, because I did wonder how you would get interaction, because it is difficult. But I think you did a good job by getting everybody to.
I can't hear you very well. Is it just me?
It is.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, we heard you, okay, Lynn. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. Who's next? What about Woon? Woon can give his advice as well. You can give yourself compliments as well for the good presentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a very different thing, hosting and running an online sort of event, I guess. I think there's a lot of new skills that we need, and it's sort of very different from running a physical event, especially around sort of like facilitating the talks and the interaction. So it was quite difficult to get any feedback when I was presenting, for instance, right?
Sure.
And so this is a new thing to me, but I'm sure people who've done webinars, they know, they know how to do this. But I guess the thing that we're all missing is pizzas, really.
Very true. Coming soon. I think we should all bake our own. We can have it together.
Those of you who don't attend our city socials, we always have pizza, and that's why Woon mentioned that. They're lovely, very, very nice, tasty pizzas. Yeah, they were worth having.
But he always ends up taking it home if there is any left.
Could we ask, as we go around, we mentioned about the mini courses, whether these are of interest to you as well? So if you could let us know about that. So who's next?
Very good from the top.
Yeah, Maria.
Maria?
Yeah, so what did I enjoy about it? I'm not very technical, so for me it was all very brand new. I've got a lot to learn, and I'm happy to to learn as much as I can, really.
Okay,
So
thank
it was
you.
very interesting for me. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, Jude, are you asking? Okay, Jude.
No,
Jude.
Yeah. I enjoyed it actually. I thought Woon, I thought you did really well in considering to get the engagement and kind of figure out a way of doing that. So I thought, thumbs up to you.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great stuff.
You want to Rosaline?
Rosaline.
Yes, hi. I found it very informative. It was interesting to learn about the technical bits in terms of setting it up, and also about the different kinds of topics that people are covering, and the engagement side I thought was interesting. Yes, so thank you, Woon. It was really, really good.
Thank you.
And suggestions, I don't know, because it's the first time, and it's quite interesting doing the networking online. So I think maybe we could have a fun game thing, which might aid engagement. Maybe at the beginning, something like that. Something entrepreneurial, fun, quizzy, something like that. Because you can even have breakout groups, can't you? So you could do little team things, because Zoom allows you to break out into little groups and then come back into the big group, something like that. I don't know the topic, but
That's a really good idea. Yes, that's very interactive, isn't it? So yeah, we'll bring out our skills. Or not.
Yeah. It was something that we were thinking, because we wanted to try and keep as much as possible the format of the socials, but we, obviously not having done this online before, we weren't quite sure how it would work, but I think it's
a good suggestion, actually. Yeah, very
but
good.
it's a bit like people talking together in little groups in the social.
Yeah.
Little topics, and then all come back in and see what people thought about the little topic, an entrepreneurial topic.
Yes.
Of some kind.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Rosalind.
Pleasure.
Mary?
I really enjoyed today. I was really looking forward to it. I get to connect online again with people and learn something new. And the podcast has been a topic that I've been really interested in. So as for the workshops, I will look forward to that. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you.
Nives.
So I attended so many Zoom calls over the last 3 weeks. I have to say it was one of the better ones. So do not worry. Honestly.
You can come again.
You will get used to it with time, so it's all good. It was very informative. It was good. But even all of us will get used to it. I'm so used to it by now. For me, this is a normal way to see people now. Just a little bit of practice. I discover new things each time with Zoom, like what you can do. So it's good.
What is interesting on the Zoom calls that I've been on is that everybody's very sort of smart from the waist up, but you don't know what they're wearing underneath. Some people have shown that they're wearing slippers and sort of jogging bottoms or pyjamas, but they've got a shirt at the top. I'm not going to tell you what I've got at the bottom.
That's the nice thing about it.
Oh, Wendy.
Hi, thank you. I found it really interesting. I haven't heard a podcast before, but I definitely will be having a listen maybe tonight. So thank you for that.
Oh, really brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think there are many as well in your field that are available as well, so you might find it really interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how do I look them up? You just Google them, or?
So within, are you using a Apple iPhone or an Android?
Yeah, sorry, I have to use my phone tonight because my computer, I couldn't get it.
Yeah, are you on an iPhone or an Android?
Yeah, iPhone.
So if you search for Apple Podcast,
Sorry?
Search for Apple Podcasts as an app.
Apple, yeah.
And I guess download the app. But it should be on your.
It's
already
called Podcasts.
There's Julie showing.
The app will be called Podcasts.
Yeah.
There we
So
go. It's Julie showing that on.
it's a purple colored app.
Okay.
Can you see the picture?
Oh,
And you
yes,
see
thank
Julie's,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah.
the purple?
Yes.
Yeah, the little round thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that's the app that you need to download, and then once you're in that app, so you're in the Reiki business, isn't it?
I'm in holistic therapies. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you type in those keywords, then the podcast in that space would show up. So there's a big search bar that you can type in, and you can search for that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Cheers.
You're welcome. Catherine.
Hello. Thank you. That was great. I've got my first virtual one this time next week. So I wanted to see how you guys did it. I'm a bit nervous about doing it because I'm going to do like an interview style one, so I don't quite know how that's going to work. And I'm not sure exactly how many people are going to be there yet. So yeah, but I really like how you did. I love how you started with B1G1. That was great. And yeah, I thought it was a nice structure, and Woon was great. I need to speak to you, Woon, as you know. And it's lovely to see familiar faces as well. Hello, Julie, and those of you that I know. Also interesting with this that it seems like everyone knows about wealth dynamics in the profiles, whereas with my audience, a lot of them don't. So I really like how everyone on this call kind of knows that, and so it would be great if I can think of a way of introducing maybe that into into my groups.
A little a game.
Yes. Or just ask people
like
what profile
that,
are you?
But they haven't done it. That's the thing. I think
but by the time they come back, maybe. So maybe give them that as a. So if you do an overview about it, and then curiosity will pique their interest, and then you say go over to find it out, and then the next time they can.
Or I could even get them to do it before, like everyone who signed up. Say go and see it before you join the call. See if you can find out what your profile is. That'd be quite good.
What we tend to do, Catherine, in our meetings, we gave everybody a badge with their profile underneath. So if you haven't done the test, you naturally ask, what is that? What does that mean? And it starts the conversation.
You could get people to put their name and their profile when they join the call, like we've got Katrina and Luca, they could put their name plus their profile, so it'll highlight the ones that haven't done it. Way of doing it as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And most of the time, have they done the free version or the paid version?
You mean the Genius
test? Yeah. That's different to the profile, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just like just a different.
But that's okay. It'd be easier for people to do that.
Yeah.
And Wendy, I'll send you a token so that you'll know what your profile is. Okay.
Thank you.
You can take a test.
I appreciate that.
That's okay.
All right. Thanks, Catherine.
I was going to say, Catherine, that you can make sure you use the chat functionality because it's a really quick way to get audience engagement. Because it's one of the things when I don't know if you're facilitating it as well as presenting, like doing the talk, doing the interview.
I am.
So yeah, I mean, if you can get someone to help out on the,
chat.
Facilitating, because that's the biggest challenge I see. When you're hosting and when you're sort of presenting, it's really, really difficult.
That's brilliant.
There's no sort of like there's no live audience there. Like you're sort of looking at a screen or looking at your guest. So yeah, that's something highly recommend.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
brilliant advice. Thank you.
and then the other thing is when people are trying to talk, sometimes they're unmute and mute, and so it's something to be aware of, like where people are, like So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I was going to say I would agree, because when I've watched the better webinars, the better lives, it's almost like you wouldn't have the chairperson and the minute taker. You try and segregate those. So if you've got somebody, then you can talk over to them and say, have you got any questions? And they could give you the questions, and it'll be really much more professional.
Love it.
And if you know, you've got your mute and unmute button. There's 3 dots to the side there. People can change or rename. Did you know that? So not everybody does.
Yeah, I did actually. But,
so they can put their name and their profile next to that. So when they're online, they can change it and do it straight away.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
That's okay.
Okay, Yasmina. Hello?
What was the question? I phased out.
Feedback time.
Feedback. Yeah, I thought the format was really great. Well, I don't know how it was earlier, but presentation was wonderful. I loved it, Woon. And I liked the intros when I popped on. And yeah, I have only good things to say.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're going to come again as well.
Yeah. We like people like you. And Julie.
I think I'm going to follow on from what Neva said. I've sat on a lot of webinars and a lot of sort of Zoom meetings and calls, and I've actually really enjoyed this one. I think Woon, presentation was good, but I think I've actually enjoyed the human interaction, which is far more on this evenings, this meet than most of them, and I think that's what we need. To see sort of friendly, smiley faces that are laughing and having a bit of a smile, rather than being spoken at for the whole time. It's. I haven't been on one that has been this format. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. You know what? Actually, we've been inspired to do it. For the past 2 weeks, we've had a Zoom call with my school friends from Italy, and some of which I haven't seen for over 30 years. Wow. And it is lovely. I mean, it is, this platform gives us a possibility of having, an interaction almost as if you are in the same room, as long as you don't speak all at the same time. It's really good. You can see each other. You can pretend that you're in the same place, pretty much.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank you.
Fantastic. Jeff. Muted or not? Unmute yourself, Jeff. Yep.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So feedback, again, positive. Not got a lot to add that hasn't been said already. In terms of the presentation, really good. Woons, picked up a few more things from this presentation than I did your last one as well. So that's really cool. And in terms of delivery with the interaction, it is quite difficult to kind of gauge what's going on with people, whether they're awake when you're talking and stuff like that. Like Jude said, have some sort of interactive aspect to it, games, whatever, because it all helps the transferal of learning, right? So no, all good.
Brilliant. So last
but not least,
Adriana.
Oh, hi. Lovely.
Drink
Yeah.
and draw.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to attend, by the way. I hope this plays for me because I've been getting so excited. I haven't actually registered yet. But
Oh, are you coming? Oh, that'd be great. Amazing. Well, I've just had a look, and we've got 7 spaces left at the moment.
Okay.
So
right,
yeah, that would be great.
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good, the format, because it's great for me because our first one was last week, and we just didn't know what we were doing, in a sense. We just, we planned a little bit and thought how we would work it out, and it did work out quite nicely. But I really like the way you've got people to interact on this. It's been lovely. Breaking it down, giving people time to ask questions, and using the chat function is really important. I agree with that as well, and it's helpful because Lindsay and I actually have 2 screens. He's got one screen in one room and I've got one, so we're like 2 squares. Whereas you're a couple, which is lovely. But we've split ourselves up into different rooms when we do ours. So I'm kind of doing the intro, and he's doing the drawing aspect and the feedback. And so I'm there saying, if he's missed somebody, I say, oh well, so and so wants to ask a question. So you just have to find a way around it. You learn as you go along. It might be different tomorrow, I don't know, but this one's been very good. It's been really enjoyable, and the content was great, Woon, as well. Really enjoyed that. I've made a note. I said quite inspired by it. I'd like to try one, maybe. Maybe I've got a face for a podcast. Who knows?
It'll be difficult to see the drawings then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For blind artists, I don't know. It was some niche product.
That'd be great.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much all for attending. I suppose this is the end of the evening. The next one is going to be in 2 weeks' time.
Same time,
So,
7 to 9.
Same place.
Same place, same time. Yes.
Bring your own pizza.
And with
Exactly.
the pizzas, yes.
Bring your own pizza.
Perhaps you can show us how to bake one.
No, it takes too long. I can't be bothered to actually do the pizza from scratch. Sorry. No, but so we'll be on Wednesday 2 weeks from now. So we'll soon post the invitation again. If you can share it with as many people as we can. Let's try to get 25 plus next time. I think we did really well today. It was like 17 people on the call, so it was it was really, really pleasing to see that you're all happy to see our faces and
And if you've got anything that you can offer the group, please also let us know about that. And because it's all about sharing and helping each other out.
So we will promote the mini courses next week. So if any of you is interested in putting one on, whether it's for well-being or for business, it doesn't matter. At this moment, we need everything, all the help we can get in all different aspects of our life. So just get in touch with us. Get in touch with us by email or Facebook if you.
Right, that's the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, have a good evening, and thank you very much to Woon. If we could just say thank you again. It's a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Bye, everyone.
Bye. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.